a person gets out of the camper and gets into a dignified housing setting. I can thank the folks who helped me do that. I must tell you that the VA has been tremendously supportive, and any veteran out there who's living on the street or living in a car and camper, you get the gold card as far as I'm concerned of support, at least from me, who happens to be a veteran and believes veterans need the support. There are a lot of other people in their cars and campers due to economic situation and for other health and psychiatric issues are in it. Those are the folks, if they want help, we want to help them. You're going to have an explanation of this program, if you haven't heard it before, from those who are involved. I hired a group called PATH, who put out competitive bidding, and that group is in the process of making this program happen. Fortunately, Westchester has supported us, Playa del Rey, so we're going to use that lot. There will be no more than 8 vehicles in that lot, and it will be from, in that particular lot, from 6 in the evening to 8 in the morning. You will hear from Pat how supervision works, how the rules work, how one can opt into the program or not. We're going to go also to my West LA group over there that's connected to the West LA office, which is at Corinth and Purdue on Santa Monica Boulevard, and I intend to explain it to the community there. But it became very clear to me after being here in Venice that a lot of the issues here need to find some form of support in Venice. So you're going to hear what location we've looked at, why we've looked at that location. We will then follow that up with a committee meeting tomorrow of my committee that I'm chair, Transportation. If we're not able to get our act together by tomorrow, we will not then move it to the full council until after we have the West LA meeting and get the feedback from the community here. I'm all about process, I'm all about the democracy in action, I'm all about everybody's input. But remember this, we're all in this world together. We want to help those who want to be helped, and we're going to do that in this district, in this pilot program. I'd like to turn it over to Mike Bonham, my chief of staff, and also to Rudy. Come on up, Rudy, from PATH. And that's the Mike and Rudy show that will take you through it. Listen intently, and we're looking forward to your questions and comments as well.
It occurred to me earlier today that there is a lot of similarities between the way this issue has been perceived and handled and managed and the healthcare debate last year. On one hand, we have some people who are concerned or opposed to the concept of the program, and some of them have very legitimate concerns that need to be addressed, and some of them are opposed in concept and either have misconceptions about the program or are spreading information that isn't completely accurate. On the other hand, we have a number of people who are absolutely in support of the concept of the program and feel it has not gone far enough. They feel that we have watered it down too much and that it's not worth the paper that it's written on. And then in the middle, we have a well-intentioned government official and his staff who's doing his best to balance competing and necessary interests that has perhaps at times lost control of the message and failed to articulate exactly what the value of the program is, how it will work, and who it's meant to serve. So for our failures of communication, I apologize. Let me take a second to try to explain exactly who this program is meant to serve. As Bill said, this started out to be a balanced approach. And there are a number of things that the city, the councilman, the LAPD, and DOT have done to try to increase enforcement to deal with the problem of people living on residential streets in their vehicles. More cops, 85.11 has been enforced. We put OVOs in some neighborhoods where people have asked for them. And we tried to get OPDs, and in some neighborhoods east of Lincoln, OPDs are going in. Those are all things that were on this side of the scale. On the other side of the scale, this program is the chief tool that the councilman has been trying to use to help people. There are many people who are in need of help, who want help, and we have the ability to assist. And they're the people we're trying to help through this program. Our priority are seniors, families with children, and veterans, and others who are willing to seek help and willing to follow rules to get there. So this program is meant to be a temporary place for people while their housing vouchers are being secured and processed. The councilman has designated 3 different parking spaces, has proposed 3 different parking spaces with 8 spots each to try to accommodate those who are enrolled in this program. As Rudy will detail in a minute, if you're in the program, you'll have to agree to case management, agree to the goal of getting into permanent housing, and follow a certain set of rules. The 3 lots that we're proposing will have no more than 8 vehicles at any time. The maximum window in which PAP can use that lot is 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. Within that window, some lots make it different hours, and the golf course here in Venice is one that goes with the hours we'll probably narrow. When we were here a couple weeks ago, we had designated the Westchester and the West LA lots at the councilman's offices. Since then, as Bill indicated, we've heard from a lot of people in Westchester and West LA that they're willing to allow this program in their community. They're willing to step up, they're willing to give this a chance. But they wanted to make sure that Venice, where the greatest number of vehicles are congregated, was also involved in the program. LAPD officers and I went out and we literally looked at every publicly owned parking space in Venice. And if the committee wants, the public wants, I can go through every single one of them and explain how we came to choose the Penmar golf course. Because of the way LA city rules are written, the city attorneys have said that with this ordinance, the only spots we can look at are publicly owned spots. To use church parking lots or social service centers, we have to go through a separate process and amend the planning code. That could take over a year. So our first step is to use some publicly owned lots and demonstrate that the program works and get some people some permanent shelter as soon as possible. Totally lost my train of thought there for a second. The 3 lots are, as I said, the Westchester lot, the West LA lot, and the Penmar lot. The Penmar lot, which is the thing that was added since we were last year, is the lot that has the greatest distance from any of the other residences in Venice. Everything else is a closer distance. The spots in the Penmar lot that we would use are on the eastern end of the lot, so that it's even further from most of the homes. Those spaces would be more than 150 feet. So those are the parameters. I can get into as much detail as you want about how that lot would operate, how that lot was chosen over some of the others, the pros and cons. In the meantime, I want Rudy to explain for just a couple minutes about how the program will operate and what the rules will be.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rudy Salinas, and I am the Director of Outreach for PAP, People Assisting the Homeless. As Mike mentioned, I wanted to go over participant-safe parking rules and regulations with you so that I'm able to share with you what we will be asking of every single person that is staying in these lots when they stay with us. Let me begin by saying that the sites themselves will have security that will be working there overnight, which is to say that between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 a.m., there will be security constantly present at these lots. I will go through these rules with you. Have a few minutes, let me share with you, starting by Rule A. The use of alcohol and/or drugs is forbidden and will result in the immediate expulsion from the program. Rule B. No open fires or cooking outside the vehicle at any time. C. No weapons at any time. D. No loud music or disruptive noise at any time. Respect your neighbors and the neighborhood. E. All trash will be properly disposed of and the area will be kept tidy and clean. F. Overnight stays are limited to the hours assigned. G. Animals must be kept on a leash at all times. Barking dogs must be kept inside the vehicle at all times. And animal waste must be picked up immediately and disposed of properly. H. No visitors are allowed. No participant will invite other vehicle dwellers to occupy the site or invite visitors into the parking lot. I. Showering and bathing is permitted in approved sites only. J. Only 1 vehicle per family is allowed. K. Program participants waive owner of parking lot liability for any damages caused by third party to the parked vehicle or its occupants. L. Facility services are only to be used if part of your site agreement. Facility services are defined as water, trash, etc. M. Respect the privacy of surrounding neighborhoods and property. N. Children must be supervised at all times. Finally, O. Notice must be provided if you leave temporarily or permanently. Any keys or passkeys or other site-related items must be returned to security before you leave. This being said, I know that security will be present throughout the evening, but this links to our ability as a staff that works here and is actually working with the clients to respond to any emergencies as they come up, or any situations that require our immediate presence. On top of this, we have a participant case management agreement that we ask of every single participant that is in the parking lot. Let me go through these quickly. A. Complete all assigned paperwork given to you by your case manager during your weekly meetings. I should say that it says weekly meetings, but in some cases, as I will show you shortly, we've been working with clients daily. B. Work with your case manager and attend meetings either at the site or at the case manager's location at least weekly, if not daily. C. Keep appointments with other agencies and service providers set up for you by your case manager. D. Keep the location of your safe parking area confidential. Do not share this location with your friends or others to make sure the site remains safe and secure for other program participants. E. Quarreling or fighting amongst the guests will not be tolerated at all. F. Actively participate in the case management process to reduce barriers to housing and accept appropriate as determined services determined as by case manager, permanent housing opportunities when offered, if offered. G. Agree to adhere to the program's rules and regulations at all times. And H. Case managers and or program staff have the authority to visit at any time, day or night, without prior notice to verify compliance with program rules and regulations. And this last one I just read is one that we really do strictly adhere to, not just in our lots, but even in our interim housing buildings that we have throughout Los Angeles. It's a rule that we abide by that we've been following for the last 28 years. Just to share with you a bit of what the team has been doing since the month of March concluded. In the month of March, our staff, my colleagues that have the exact same getup that I'm wearing right now with the maroon shirt and the blue jeans, were out here for 120 hours on the streets of Venice. During those 120 hours, they made contact with a total of 41 homeless clients. Of these 41 homeless clients, 37 received case management services, which is to say that within these 37, there were some that were referred to mental health services, some that were transported to medical appointments, and some that went as far as receiving services for drug and alcohol treatment. The team received a total of 85 phone calls from homeless clients during the month of March while doing their work here in the street. I thought I would end my portion of what I was sharing with all of you tonight by just letting you know that in the month of March, the Path Venice Vehicular Outreach Team placed a homeless woman in interim housing. She recently became homeless due to her health condition, specifically her mental health condition. Since the outreach team provided her with immediate mental health services, she became more stable and open to our services. I should say that she was quickly linked to her doctor through DMH that she had not seen for a few months so that she could continue taking the medication she badly lacked. As a result, the case manager could advance her housing process. She was able to apply for Social Security benefits, which she will start receiving right now in the month of April. The client is also in the process of applying for a Section 8 voucher, and if she is approved, she will be able to move into the apartment within 40 days. The collaboration with this agency will reflect the potential success of this case and will end her cycle of homelessness that she has been for some time now. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rudy. Just a couple quick cleanup notes, because I had that brain fart a few minutes ago. I was mentioning why we're restricted to public lots. Some people have repeatedly asked, why can't you do this on the beach lots or dock by the beach? Or why can't you do this near Santa Monica Airport? The councilman is not empowered to do anything in the city of Santa Monica, and the councilman has sought repeatedly to get assistance from the county in letting us use any county-controlled properties, and they've said no. So he's empowered to do stuff with city lots and city-owned properties, and that's what we're looking at first. Our goal in this program, in these 3 lots, is to demonstrate this can work, and then get the county on board. We're hoping to get them on board for locations, and hopefully get them on board for funding the program if it needs to continue. I also want to mention that there's an ongoing community feedback component of this. Ruby mentioned the rules and the program guidelines. Part of the contract between Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority and PATH requires PATH to have regular ongoing meetings with the neighbors near the lots and with the neighborhood councils. So we can have an ongoing dialogue. If there's a rule that needs to be added, they can add a rule. If there's a problem going on there, they can address the problem. They're going to have community grievance phone numbers for people to call and report things any time of day. The LAPD will be working closely, and the community engagement meetings will have PATH, the council office, the neighborhood councils if they seek to be interested, the immediate neighbors, and we'll keep working on stuff. The third thing is I do want to illustrate or indicate how much this proposal has changed since the councilman first offered it. Some people are happy with those changes and some are unhappy. But the councilman has continually listened to what people have said about their concerns. He initially had a buffer zone between any spot and a residential property of 50 feet. We have tripled that to 150 feet. He initially, with the hopes to use some places like Manchester Square near the airport or other public streets where there's not a lot of population, had hoped to include street segments in this ordinance. After hearing from the public, he removed that. So we're now looking at 3 discrete lots where we hope to demonstrate success and move the program forward that way and get people into housing as quickly as possible. There's a pressing need out there. PATH has already started moving some people in. And as we indicated, there are families out there. There are veterans out there who have given who have given years of their life to this country. And there are other people who are misfortunate victims of the economic collapse. And we have the ability to help them, and they want our help. So what we're trying to do is achieve that. How do you want to proceed?
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so that will conclude. Stick around because some of the public comments will be questions to you. Claire can ask questions of them, you can ask questions of the board, and then when the public comment is concluded at 8, then the board will have a discussion among ourselves. But first, we're going to, we have an agenda. Before that, I want to thank the board for coming to so many meetings and really staying with us. And it's really a tribute to your stamina, and I appreciate your involvement as much as I appreciate the public being here. I mean, we've had so many meetings on this, and it's another night of meetings, so thank you for that. And also to Daryl Barnett for providing us food again. She always does a good job. And I also forgot to mention that 2 of our senior lead officers, Peggy Fissing and Teresa Skinner, who are usually here, had an altercation, and were both hurt, and they're home resting. They're okay, but I wanted you to know that that's why they're not here, and we send them our best wishes and hope they're back soon. So, okay, with that, I'd like to call on Ira Cosell to make a motion, and if you could read the motion and also the actual motion itself, the wording of the ordinance would be really helpful.
There's 4 parts to this. The first part, which is on the agenda, I'm moving to approve Councilman Rosendahl's ordinance 85.11, CF number Council File 11-0398, as amended in his letter dated April 7th, 2011. Draft ordinance is attached. The draft ordinance is rather long. I wasn't intending to read it. Of note is the fact that this is sort of the third version of this. The first version came before us at the last meeting, but it was incomplete. We had a letter there stating that the street component was removed. At the meeting we had, there was a lot of concerns on both sort of sides, if we have to say sides. So as Mike Bonin mentioned, a Venice lot was added, and the distance was increased from 50 to 150 feet. that's the ordinance that is here. If you had a color printer, you got the redlined changes from the original. More important for me, the third component of this is the letter that is going to be sent. That I would like to read. I tried to keep all of this as brief as possible because sometimes we get lost in all the wording. This is to Councilman Bill Rosendahl, a motion to approve your amended LAMC Ordinance 85.11, copy attached. So the copy that we approve will be attached. Was passed by the Venice Neighborhood Council at a special board meeting on April 12, 2011. This follows previous motions to support the implementation of a safe parking program in Venice. A. Also attached will be a letter dated October 29, 2009 in general support of Council Motion 80-3125 to create a provision for council members to designate discrete and distinct areas of their council district where people would be allowed to park and sleep overnight by permit and with case management service. The full text of the letter is attached. That was the composition of the old board of which Mike Newhouse was president. Then Part B is a letter dated December 22nd, 2010 in support of amending LAMC 85.11 to allow the implementation of the Streets to Homes pilot program. Again, full text attached, that this board approved the amendment of 85.02. The Venice Neighborhood Council has always supported simultaneous, that's a key word, simultaneous implementation of the Streets to Home program along with Council File 09-3036, the Oversized Vehicle Ordinance, to ensure equity in the attempt to balance the plight of homeless stakeholders in Venice with the concerns of the residents living in houses. So that's the letter that is actually going to go if we pass it. And the fourth part of this is the community impact statement, again, as simple as I could do. The pilot CD11 program, Vehicles to Home, will provide a pathway. Path is all capitalized to make note of the runners of the program. Pathway for people reduced to living in their vehicles to permanent housing by providing a temporary location to sleep safely at night in Venice, West Los Angeles, and Westchester. If the pilot is successful, it will serve as a model for the city. So that's what I'm proposing, and I would just like to say that added one quick little thing. There's been a large movement to remove the Venice lot. In my personal opinion, that's the linchpin to the program.
That's
Oh, that's a comment. Sorry. Strike that from the record.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Well, Christopher's going to second. Okay. Christopher seconded now. Now we're going to go to public comment. Okay. Just a minute. Just a minute. We have Ivan. Mariana says she would like to amend the motion. Do we do this now or after public comment?
Whatever you want.
Okay. Okay, Mariana. Sure.
I would move to amend Ira's motion to remove the words "or on the city-owned parking lot at the Penmar Golf Course in Venice, located at 1233 Rose Avenue in the city of Los Angeles." And just very quickly, I would say that it has nothing to do with Councilman Rosendahl's program or 8511, but with the absolute inappropriate use of park property.
Just for a minute.
I'm sorry, Ivan.
Well, in other words, you don't argue your amendment. You make the motion, and then you get a second, and then she can talk to it.
I just want to be clear about the basis.
Thank you. Okay. Is there a second to Mariana's amendment? Okay. She made an amendment to remove the Penmar lot from the motion. I have a second from Scott. Is there any public comment about that? Ivan?
All right.
These are parliamentarians.
All right. So the procedure now is you're just going to deal with the amendment, whether or not to add this amendment to the motion itself. So any public comment or any board discussion has to be on the amendment, which is the wording about Penmar and Venice. Anything else is out of order.
We don't have a public
After this discussion and public comment, then depending on how the amendment is voted, then there would be public comment on the original motion.
Right. But now because of this supersedes it, so you have to start with this.
In the general public comments on this motion, I want to speak to the whole question of the legality of 8502. Now I want to speak specifically to this amendment. And the purpose of this amendment is to move poor people out of Venice as far as possible. The inappropriateness of park property to house people is being brought up now for that purpose, to get poor people, people living in their vehicles, people that lower the property values as far from Venice as possible. Other than that, people would, does that mean I have a minute? Yes. Okay. Other than that, people would see the appropriateness is to keep Venice people in Venice and to take care of them like they are our brothers and sisters in need, and not figure out, okay, how can we get rid of them so we can have a place where property values are higher, where we can get millions of dollars for houses and thousands of dollars for rent.
Thank you, sir.
David, I live at 1234 Preston Way. I just want to say that I agree with Ira in what he said, in spite of himself, that Venice is the linchpin of the program, and the people in Westchester, I went to that neighborhood council meeting, they were very clear that, and people in West LA have been clear that they want to help with the problem, but they don't want to adopt our problem wholesale without us doing anything about it here. So we need to help our people, and they can help their people. And hopefully it won't be too rigid either way, but that's really what's going to make the program work. Thanks.
Thank you, David.
That's okay, I'll just way fast. Hi, I'm Colleen Sorrow, reside on Oceanfront Walk at the Beach House Apartments. I agree with David, thank you, that this is Venice. We need to take care of Venice. Westchester's pitched in, and so is West LA. So Penmar needs to be there as well. And I know Mike mentioned right now why we can't utilize the beach lots, so let's get this pilot program going so at least one of those lots eventually can be used. This is Venice. We need to take care of the people in Venice, and then everybody else can help us. I mean, good God, people, step up to the bat. Seriously. Let's all get along. I don't understand. We're a community. Thank you.
My name is Don Gagan, longtime Venice resident. I want to say that I'm glad that Councilman Rosendahl included Venice, the lots in Venice, as part of his plan. I think that's a big step because it's two speakers or three before me have said Venice, I think, is the key to this. I would like to see the city council outreach more to the county. It's very difficult because you only have 5 county members, and they're very hard to deal with because they don't have anyone particularly in charge because they keep rotating it. But I think that's a problem that we're going to have to deal with not only as a city of LA, but as the county of LA. 5 people representing 10 million people, that is not democracy. So anyway, Mike, I'm glad you included that in this. I'm glad that Venice is a part of it. I wish it was more of a part of it because I think this is where the problem is. And I agree with the 2 speakers before me. Until we solve this problem in Venice about people that don't have a way to make a living, which is a big problem in the wealthiest country in the world, that we can't deal with poverty, to me, I don't make any sense to that at all. But thank you, Bill.
Hi, my name is Cindy Hench. I'm the president of the Neighborhood Council of Westchester Plan. And we met on this topic the other night, and we did support this ordinance conditionally. And the number 1 condition is that Venice has a parking lot too. I urge this board to not approve this amendment because if you do, you will most assuredly unravel the whole program throughout the district.
My name is David Bush, formerly housed in Venice, homeless in Venice for over 10 years in the area. And let's get rid of this absurdity now at the beginning of this meeting. This is about taking responsibility. I mean, we just heard a long presentation about helping people who want to get off the street and want to giving help to people who want to solve their problems. So let's apply that to the city of Venice as well. You want help with your homeless problem, take responsibility for helping yourself, and get rid of these absurd, if we're going to bog down the meeting tonight with absurd amendments about, oh, we're going to push the problem all over to Westchester and not take it here. This meeting is going nowhere tonight. Let's get down to business, recognize that Venice has to take responsibility for its homeless.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I live in Penmar, the corner of Penmar and Indiana, and I completely support the idea of helping the homeless. I have a problem with the fact that this amendment was not notified at all to our neighbors, and needs to get out to all of the neighbors so that they can, with all the complete information, so they can make well-informed decisions on this and make suggestions. I think it's ill-advised at this location. I understand there's a lot of difficulties at other locations, but there's certainly a lot of difficulties with this one. I question, particularly based on the comments I heard tonight, what are the sizes of those vehicles? What kind of security? Is it Los Angeles Police? Or what? Who enforces the rules? And question also, why streets were removed? I personally, I'd like to see Lincoln Place be going onto this. And track record. I only hear about 2 families helped in this so far. I hope to have a better track record than that.
Thank you so much.
Andrew Carrillo.